Andre
That's
Pillow.
okay.
Andre Pillow is the founder of DNA Golf Instruction. His golf is to teach the sport of golf to everyone around the world. Um, Golfing can be hard to master because of the obstacles, but it is fun and it's age friendly, and it is an age friendly sport to everyone. We're excited to hear from you today, Andre.
Well, thank you, Ayana. And I am very, very proud of you. I have three young daughters, 8, 5, and 2, and you're hopefully going to be a role model for them. And one thing about our industry was we talk about golf. I am a PGA professional, and we recently had our first woman president in our last election. So Susie Whaley is our first woman president, and she told me that she wants me to be the first African American president of the PGA. So I have a lot of pressure. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about being leaders and not being followers. It's very important that we work as a group, but that we're individuals and we try our best to do what we can to succeed and make a better world. As you mentioned earlier, I am the founder of DNA Golf Instruction, a golf instruction company based at two different golf courses here in Michigan. Blythefield Country Club, which is the home of the LPGA Meyer Classic, a private facility, and I also operate at Indian Trails Golf Course in the city of Grand Rapids, real close to Ottawa Hills there, David. And I know some of your educators and have worked with some of your students. Our company mission is to teach the game of golf to everyone, no matter your background or income level. We want our students to discover natural ability and enjoy the game in a manner that suits them. My individual focus is on targeting minorities, women, and juniors, those people that golf tends to forget about, focusing more on our white male counterpart there at the private level, even at the public level as well. So with that focus for me, it's very important that I teach golf to everyone at every price level. So I have a high-end rate, I have a middle-class rate at Indian Trails, and currently I am teaching 4 young girls at Indian Trails for free at no cost to them. Something that I can do, give them the knowledge of the game. And the reason I love my sport so much is an individual sport and it mirrors life. Everyone has a different skill set, a different starting point. Sometimes you get lucky in life, sometimes you get lucky in golf. Some people work hard in life, some people work hard in golf. So a lot of the things that we see in life are emulated in the sense that we don't have teammates, our decisions are our decisions, our successes are our successes, and our failures are also our failures. And I really like that, especially for young people that are trying to learn about themselves, especially in a tough environment like what we're dealing with now. As many of you know, there's not a lot of Black African-American golf professionals in my business. The 28,000 plus PGA professionals, I'm probably represented by less than 2% as an African-American male. My goal is to change that. And I think with my upbringing and things that have happened in my life, I'm finally in that position of trusting myself as an individual to make the things happen that I need to for the community and do things on a national level. I'm from Lansing originally. Went to Lansing Sexton High School, a product of public schools. My mother was an educator in the public school system. And I bet you're wondering, why golf? I grew up playing everything. Was a good basketball player, fastest kid in my neighborhood, probably up until the 6th grade. Some of you guys might argue with me about that. But played every sport that you can think of. But for me, in some reason, golf was a little different. I had time with my father on that golf course. And I learned about myself more in playing golf than I did in any other sport. So when it came time for me to get to high school, and all of my friends that are expecting me to play football, they see me walk in this school with these golf clubs. It was nerve-wracking. And they were wondering, what is this funny sport, this white sport that we see Andre playing, that he won't even play football, he's gonna play this. So it was a tough transition going into high school. But I had a mother and father that taught me to think for myself and to be an individual in every situation. And I knew I wanted to play golf. The funny thing was, after my freshman year, of those people making fun of me and being almost scared to bring my golf clubs to school, I started getting support. The more times my name was mentioned on announcements, those same people that were making fun of me started supporting me. They started empowering me, and they started letting me be who I wanted to be in the first place. So golf taught me that. It taught me to be myself, and the successes I had in golf led me in a certain direction. I am the child of an educator. My mother had her PhD in child psychology, and she taught me to think for myself, to not follow the crowd. And right now, we do have crowds that are moving in some positive directions. But I want to remind those people in those groups and in those crowds that you can still do things as an individual to push an agenda and to make things better. Very, very important. And I thank my mother for that. She passed away about 6 years ago when my oldest child was only 2. And something came from that was positive. I saw a leader in my mother, but when she was gone, it was time for me to step up and be a leader as well, to do the things in the community that I saw and to help and support those that need help and guidance. And I'm doing it through golf, not through education like my mother did. But it's still helping, and I'm still using my skill set to go a certain direction. My company is gaining traction here in town and also nationally with 3 videos on PGA.com. And my goal is to take the community with me. As I mentioned before, I'm teaching 4 kids for free right now. I'm hoping to double that by the end of the year. Without COVID, I was hoping to have up to 12 kids. And I don't mean just exposing them. My goal is to give them everything that the private club junior golfer would have in relation to clubs, equipment, and time and energy, so that I can empower that child to be whatever they want to be. That is the gift of golf. And if we have people around the game, people that can support efforts, we can create change. Our kids are special, our kids are talented, our kids are underexposed to things that can change their life. And my job is to expose them to those things that I think are important. There's a famous W.E.B. Du Bois quote that mentions, by being your greatest, you teach others how to be great. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to show people how to be great, put my best foot forward, and hopefully others can follow suit. And we see that in sports. We see that with relationships. And one thing that I wanted to mention as we wrap up here, like I said, be an individual, right? Don't follow the crowd or do things based on what the crowd says to do. One of my best friends from college, Ken Jordan, great friend. And we have, arguments about certain things. And one of those arguments we have is about traditional colleges versus HBCUs. We met each other at Tennessee State University, but to this day we have arguments about the environment. He thought the environment was a great environment, the camaraderie was great, and he felt better learning in that environment. But for me, I felt like we weren't really competing in what I consider to be the real world, and I could see the differences between some of the higher end universities and our universities. So we have this debate, we have these arguments. Best friend, right? Very smart. I trust his opinion. And we disagree on those things. I'm bringing that up to say that those thoughts, those differences in opinions, they all come from the same trauma. They all come from the same history, the civil rights battles that we fought, the slavery that we both have in our past. So we all have ideas that stem from the same stuff, the same trauma as Dr. Andre mentioned early on. And I want to identify that. Maybe we should move as individuals. Maybe we should try to do more as individuals and work harder to reach an individual goal. Maybe instead of getting involved, and even as an example, voting, maybe you should run for a local office. So I want to encourage everyone to be an individual. The sport of golf taught me to be an individual, and I'm using that as my tool to teach other kids how great they can be. They can be great just like any other kid. As long as they put the effort forward to do so, we can succeed as a group.
That was awesome. You left me feeling inspired, so thanks, Andre.
Thank you.
I've got one question from the attendees, and then I think Ayanna had a question real quick. What is it like being a Black man in the golf world, and do you often feel disconnected? So I guess it could say, like, other people who might feel being a minority in any environment, how do you get connected?
Correct. Well, and yes, and you hit it on and just how we talk about the nation and not feeling part of the nation, kind of like we have a bad parent. I feel that way about my organization as a PGA professional. I think that we finally learned, and from the leadership, they're creating programs, which I'm a part of, to create more diversity and inclusion. And I'm in the room. So what I would tell you, yes, it's tough. What I will tell you, have I had barriers in front of me? Yes. But I'm not afraid to fight those barriers. And once again, I'm not going to wait for the group to say it's okay. And this is one other thing in relation to that that's very important. As I say, being an individual versus following the crowd. And I don't mean to downplay anything that all, Black Lives Matter is doing. And I think it's a wonderful organization. But I tell people that I'm around to be like Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman wasn't waiting for anybody to tell her what to do. Harriet did what she needed to do with the people that she needed to do it with to make change happen. I'm like Harriet Tubman in relation to what I'm doing in the golf business. I'm setting my own tone. I'm creating my own environment. I'm working with minorities here in town and on a national level, helping kids via virtual golf lessons in South Carolina, Ohio, wherever I can find a way to help, I'm doing it, just like Harriet Tubman. So that's what I will tell you. Be a part of the group, but remember to be an individual and use your brain to figure out what change you can make immediately. And that's what I'm doing in my industry. And now they're looking at me even from a section level as being a leader, potentially joining the board and doing some things on a national scale as well. So just remember to be like Harriet Tubman and we'll be all right.
Awesome. Ayana, what was the question that you had?
Did your friends, when you were younger and you started golf, did they make fun of you because you wanted to do golf?
Some of them did, yes. And that's the thing about friends. Friends can joke around a little bit and it's okay. But did it stop me from wanting to play? No. And this is where we get back to what we need to do for our youth. I love the organizations that work with youth. But I feel like I don't want our children to be afraid. I don't want them to be afraid to succeed. I don't want them to be afraid to fail. When you were a baby, Ayana, you fell on your face 1,000 times before you learned how to walk. As soon as you learned how to walk, you know what you tried to do immediately? You tried to run. And you started the process all over again. So let's not be afraid to fail. Let's put our best foot forward and let's really try to be there for our kids in relation to mentoring them and giving them an opportunity.
Very good. Thank you, Andre. We appreciate that.
Perfect. So I guess I'll leave you with this. You know, as I mentioned before, my mother was an influence on me, you know, having her PhD and raising me a certain way to think a certain way. And I want to remind everybody that we come from greatness. If you can even look at the time, slavery to now, in the inventions, you know, the traffic light, the high heel shoe, the Charles Drew with the blood transfusion. We can mark all of the things that our people have done in times when they did not have the freedoms that we have now. So as bad as it is now, I'm going to encourage everybody who's listening to this to do something to be great. If you are great, someone else will see that and they will become great. That is the only thing that we have to do as a group, is be great and show people what it looks like.
Awesome. Thank you, Andre. And then Victor, did you have closing remarks, and Courtney as well? And then Ayana, looks like you're going to close us out, right? All right,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is Victor Howdy. I'm a first